taken. This is a big key moment in our course of the crisis, a major turning point for WISO and Israel. Our first and foremost imperative is to do everything possible to keep the children and staff safe, healthy, and protected. Without question, this is an immediate need. Making sure our 5,100 educators, assistants, cooks, and school and daycare workers are well protected means that WISO can continue opening its schools and daycare centers, and that parents can go back to work and start to revitalize the economy. WISO's mission is to protect children and youth, and we cannot protect them without this equipment. We are all living this situation now. Maybe we are a few weeks behind Israel. Think of the day our children and grandchildren will go back to school. Today, we have the honor to have three special guests with us. Israel WISO's chairperson, Ora Korazim, Dr. Netanel Agahani, fourth-year pediatrics resident at Asaf HaRofeh Hospital near Tel Aviv, and his wife, Dr. Neta Agahani, a military doctor. First, I will introduce you to Ora Korazim. She is the chairperson of WISO Israel and a member of the World WISO Executive. Ora has diverse professional experience in real estate, international marketing, and public relations. As a volunteer, Ora has served as a board member of Tel Aviv University and Lone Soldiers of Israel. She is proud to have served in the Israeli force. Ora has master's degrees in public policy and business administration, a degree in sociology and criminology, and spent a year studying English literature in Harvard. Lastly, I ask you to please write all your questions in the chat of the Zoom, and Ora will be happy to answer them after her presentation. Thank you. I hope you enjoy it. Please welcome Ora Korazim.
Thank you all. First of all, I would like to start and say Happy Mother's Day. We just 2 days ago, we celebrated Mother's Day. To my opinion, every day is a Mother's Day, but still the official one was just on May 10th. So happy Mother's Day for all of us. And I would like to thank you for inviting me to be part of your meeting today. I've been privileged to chair WISO Israel for almost a year now, but the last 2 months have been much more intensive, emotional, challenging, and proud, I would say, I've experienced in this movement. WISO Israel main mandator is to stand for women's rights and support women in all anchors of society in every crossroad of their life. And we also, our mandate is to be at the forefront of women organization as the leading organization of women action in the Israeli society. We also stand for youth girls as well as for children. We have worked 24/7 during this corona disease to get urgently the official needs, the official approval from the Ministry of Welfare to organize and to start with the security shelters that I will tell you more about during my presentation. We also get urgently all the services that need to be done for our audience, for our women, youth, and children. Our focus area pre the COVID-19 was women living in violence, single mothers, which is a really, we have a lot of single mothers mainly in the center of Israel, teenage girls at risk, children at risk, and also the very important part of advancement of women, to put women in a table, you know, in the table of decision makers in the Israeli society. The 2019 figures of women living in violence was 17 Israeli women were murdered. Usually the average is 20. Last year was 17. We had above 3,000 telephone calls related to domestic violence, compared to the previous year that we had 1,800 calls. We see a great, you know, much more telephone calls, and we assume that there is more violence, but there is more awareness, and women knows what to do and where to call. So we see it on positive and negative as well. So it's not just increasing in violence, it's also the awareness and the knowledge of women where to call and where to ask for help. In the past 14 years in Israel, a tremendous number of 163 women have been murdered by their partners. 50% of those victims were already known to the welfare authorities. 50% unknown. In Israel, 10,000 restraining orders are issued every year. The police opens an average of 60 domestic violence cases on a daily basis, which is a lot. Last year, our action was to paint the in red. We lighted up Israeli in red. All the municipality buildings cooperate with us, almost all of them, like I would say like 70% of them, the municipality buildings cooperate with us and light up their buildings with red lights for elimination of violence against women. It was a real great project, cost nothing for us. We did it with a cooperation with the municipalities, but it was great and got a lot of attention from the society. And we also spoke about the red light, which is not love, it's violence. And last year, Israel chose to focus on the 21st century problem, technological violence. So the issue which has become incredibly dominant and dangerous with our cell phone, with our Facebook, with our computers. Many women suffered from this form of violence, and they are not recognized or defined as a violence. And we hold this this annual International Day for the Elimination of Violence against women every year in November. And our project and treatments are, we have 2 battered women shelters, one in Ashdod and one in Jerusalem. And we are taking care of approximately at any time, both of them are full capacity. Both of them, the maximum is 18 families, women and children. We have 3 centers for treatment of and preventing of violence for the entire family, including children and men, and to stop acts of abuse and to help violent members of the family to deal with the difficulties in non-treating environment. The social houses that we have for women former shelter residents, we support almost 80 families with around 200 children. Most of them are in Hadera, in the north, in Haifa, in Jerusalem and Ashdod. And we also take care and operating the Violent Men Hotline. This is the only helpline of its kind in Israel to assist violent men in taking responsibility and getting the help they need. And this line is anonymous, so they can call there, and they don't need to give any details about themselves, just to ask, just to tell about the problem. And someone without judgment will give them the support and the tools how to deal with their anger. We also create a program to treat men in prisons, that to give them the support and the treat how to handle their anger. And according to the statistics, 60% of the men, the violence men, who go over in this project and get this treatment in this project, they stop being violent, which is amazing. I mean, 60% of them there is a big change. As I told you, we also take care of the teenage girls at risk. We have 18 warm homes for girls across the country, and we provide support for girls at the age of 13 up to 18 years old, and that's considered at high risk. We also have Makom Balev Center for young women, for young girls in distress in Be'er Sheva. Be'er Sheva, it's in the south of Israel. And we provide them emergency housing and treatment for young girls at extremely high risk. Most of them are prostitutes, and we are supporting them. They are coming from violence houses, abusing fathers, and we're giving them a place to stay. We also give them a treatment support, and they're staying with us for a few months before they are leaving. We also have the Adi Center, and we're supporting there also girls at risk between the age of 13 and 16. We're helping them to continue with their studies. They must come every day to this program. The project operates also in our center in Be'er Sheva. Most of the girls are runaways and come from abused families. After attending the program for a year or two, they're finishing their school, and the girls are integrated back in the society and schools. We also trying to empower them to be part of the Israeli society and join the army, which is really important for them. The program is also extended in the afternoon for girls for the age of 16 up to 24. Let me give you just a short description about the COVID-19, the atmosphere in Israel. The atmosphere in Israel is, we have, since the government imposed the lockdown, 5 women were murdered and 2 others committed suicide, being subject to a gender-based violence. We have incredible upstock in reports to a hotline of women shelters. We also have upstock report in our hotline violence for men. Police report that there is more than 20% increase in domestic violence complaints. Please be aware that most of the women cannot leave their homes. So they cannot really complain or just go to the police for complaining because they cannot leave their house. They at the beginning, the police offered the women to have online report on any domestic violence, but it didn't help because most of them don't have computers, or maybe if they have computers, that they don't have Wi-Fi. And if they have a Wi-Fi and computer, the husband is around them all the time, so they cannot really sit down for 20 minutes and fill out a form for the police against their partner. So what we did, we just issue as I forgot the word, the silent line, I'm sorry, a silent line for them to call and just to leave a message so we can contact them immediately. The welfare report also 40% increase in requests for help. And we have 4-time number of calls to WITZO helplines, which is incredible. Our emergency response during the pandemic of the coronavirus, we have 44 branches around Israel. And the WITZO branches response, we first of all, we had a daily contact with approximately 1,000 elderly citizens that are usually part of our activities. So we kept on, we're keeping on being in touch with them to see if they need something, to be support for them, supporting them in any way that we can do, even just for listening. We collect and distribute food and basic needs. First of all, we collect from companies basic food and basic needs, and we donate it for all the elderlies as well as for women and children. We initiated the Safety Net project, which is a project supporting families who have left the shelters and lost their jobs. Most of the women lost their jobs during the corona, and we don't know if they're going to get back to work after the corona. We also partially operated our second-hand shops, mainly collecting the second-hand donations, and we gave it to the second-hand company, and we got money for that. The WITZO Israel management response, we opened emergency shelter. We understand immediately by the beginning of the corona, we immediately understand that there will be a need for another shelter, emergency shelter. And at the beginning, we thought that it will be for women before shelters, like go for 2 weeks, make sure that they are not sick, and then we can release them to go to the regular shelters. And we alert this and initiate a solution to and immediately cooperate with the welfare ministry. We immediately made the professional recruitment of all the staff that need to operate this shelter. And last week on Sunday, which is a week and a half from today, we opened and operate this shelter. So it is really remarkable. Within a week, we have reached full capacity of this shelter. Yesterday, the last woman that we have placed for her, we have 12 women, 23 children, and WITZO is the only NGO that have managed to open a new shelter. This is the first time in 15 years that a new shelter has been opened in Israel. So this was really a big thing here in Israel to open this, first of all, to realized that there is a need to act in front of the welfare ministry, and then open it and recruit the staff. And here we are with this shelter. So there is another big issue that we did. The government actually create a group of 30 expertise, a committee of 30 expertise to handle the coronavirus and to give some advices how to operate or how to manage after the coronavirus. Unfortunately, this committee with the 30 expertise were only men. So at the very beginning, we thought of sending just a letter and asking to be part of this important committee, and there was no reply. So we decided to create another committee, only women committee, with 30 leading women expertise in all kinds of fields, health, education, technological, economic, security, whatever you can think about. And we just create another very important report, and we send it to the Prime Minister office, and they were so happy. And part of the conclusions and the ideas that we raised in this report were adopted in the final report of the first committee. So the day after, what do we expect in the Israeli economy, society? We're expecting a lot of unemployment, unemployment, and the rate has reached approximately 25%. Over 1 million people are unemployed. 66% of newly unemployed are unsurprisingly women. Since the first industry to suffer and the retail and the leisure industry, part-time job holders and lower paid jobs are first to be unemployment. Most of them are women. And we don't know yet the repercussions of the violence against our children and youth that had to return to their homes. What we are planning to do in the future. So WITO Israel future action plan is, first of all, is the safety net, WITO safety. Increase the number of safety net houses for women that have left the shelter in the last 6 months, recently released from the shelter. So we currently have 2 groups, as I told you before, in Hadera and Haifa, and we are aimed to open as soon as possible additional 7 groups all over across Israel. We are the only, what we have realized, that we are the only NGO providing this service, and this is one of our expertise. So we are going to do it in another 7 places in Israel, which is really, really important, just to give them the tools to be part, to integrate into the community, to be part of the community, and not to go back to their violence, husband, partner, whatever. We also have the soft landing program, which is a unique program that will support women in the first 6 months out of the shelter. This unique program will allow us to free spaces in the shelters. At this point, it's really hard to release women from the shelters because they have no work and they have no place to go. And we cannot really offer them any solution, because usually in a regular days, we can offer them, we can help them to get, places to live in or jobs. But at this point, the entire market is down, so we cannot really help them. So what we did, we issued an idea, and what we did is we approached a few kibbutzim and a few places It's a unique program that will allow us to give, we can free the shelters, so, and other women that needs the shelters can go in, and these women can go to the kibbutzim or whatever for 6 months, and we can, by aiding these women with the housing solution and working opportunities, and also resuming them their place in society. So at this point, we have 2 suggestions from 2 places, one kibbutz and one from the north of Israel. So they can offer them a place to stay for 6 months and also a job, like the Zimmers in the, it's a small hotels, small rooms hotels in the north. So they can offer them a place to stay, and also they can work and in this place. And they promise also to give the children a place to study, just in schools and so. So we also are planning to open 4 business business hubs for women, advising them on how to create cooperations by utilizing each and everyone's expertise as a group, which is really something that was in the past, but not exist anymore. Now we're not sure that all of the women that lost their jobs will have the possibility to go back to work. So in this case, we thought of creating groups and just giving them, training them, and supporting them to get their most skills, to be part of a group and create jobs for them. We're also planning to train and support women to get a well-deserved seat around the table in managerial position and boards. This is a process that is being done jointly with the government, and this is really important for us. We're also planning to open, which is already on the way, we got a confirmation from 10 branches, a Young Mothers Parliament program, once a week meeting of young mothers who were fired from their jobs after the corona, and together we can assist them to think about the new way in the market, to assist them writing a CV, how to handle all kind of how to answer aids, and so to be able to find new job. So WITO Israel is doing what matters, and we actually do with your support. And I would like to thank you, and I'm sure we will have more programs, and I'm here for any suggestions, ideas, and questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ora, and happy Mother's Day to you. Thank you for the wonderful work you're doing at the center. The challenges that you have been facing during these times are very different from the day-to-day obstacles that we normally overcome in our lives. Extra emergencies, shelters, the increase of violence. And it's excellent, the new initiative by a group of women who are giving the government ideas of how to handle certain problems. And the good news is that they were adopted. Now, if you mind answering some questions from the audience.
Yes, of course.
We have here the first question. Can you tell us if there is more incidence in any particular group of people, religious or not?
Religious or not, I can check out. I don't know about religious. I can tell you that one of the women in our shelter, one of them, she's religious. She came to the shelter with 4 children, if I'm not mistaken. But it's all over. It's not only religious or not religious. If it's important, I can check.
Thank you. I have another question. As a rule, are Israelis comfortable with the opening up of the schools, or are they holding back?
Some of them are holding back, and the young ones from 6 up to 8, they are going to school. But from 9 till 12, the government decided, gave the permission for them to open the schools, but most of the parents are not happy with the solution because it's only part-time studying. It's not a full week studying. So they decided not to send the children to schools.
Okay. How do you manage to call back the women to leave messages? Isn't it dangerous in case the abuser spouse answer?
What we did actually is with the silent line, they don't need to talk. They just need to leave a message, and then they can just raise it. So erase it in a minute, and that's it. We can contact them, and we also are in contact with the police to be in touch with the women that are well known to the welfare. The point is that it's very dangerous for them to make a phone call to the welfare or the police, because he's always with them. That's why we created and initiated the silent line.
Okay.
Is that what you mean by your question?
And we have the last question here. How or do you see the role of WITSO evolving in the new normal?
I think I've mentioned it in my by the end of my presentation. I just ended up by I think that the most important issues that we need to take care of is the marketplace and the jobs for women, and also the violence. Battered women are going to be, as we are expected, more battered women, more violence, domestic violence. So we think that we need to create those groups that we're already handling 2 groups in a very successful way, and we would like to increase it to 9, to add 7 more groups. And also, I think that part of the programs that we have to initiate is also taking care of the men's, because to my opinion, we won't be able to solve this problem without taking care of men. This is something that we need to add to our activities.
Wow, you are doing a great job.
Thank you,
Ora, for your time and for your positive input toward the revival of WISO's daycare centers and shelters. And in the situation. Yes.
I just wanted to add another sentence, please.
Of course.
I'm just wanted to, although we are talking about very hard things, I just really want to say something very positive. WITSO is saving life here. I just on Friday it was afternoon, I went to the shelter just to bring some cakes for the weekends, and I saw the children there, and the children were running, smiling, playing, happy, and I was so thrilled and I was so happy. And on my way home, it just hit me, and I just realized that we're doing such a marvelous work. We all, because I cannot do it alone, not only WITSO Israel, I'm doing it definitely with the support of all of you. And please, all my activities are yours activities as well. And just realize that we're doing such a great work in saving life of women and children in Israel. And I really, really wanted to say thank you for all your work. And it's really important for me, for you to feel involved and part, definitely a very important part of our actions and activities. Thank you.
Thank you, Ora. It's an amazing job. I agree with you. Thank you very much.
To continue with our program, we have here with us from Israel, Dr. Netanel and Neta Agahani, to answer questions about the new normal Israel is facing. But before I introduce them, I would like to catch up the people who just joined us on our new campaign called Protecting Our Children. I believe I speak for all of us when I say that doing everything we can to keep children and staff safe and protected is the most important thing. Israel is one of the first countries regaining normalcy after this crisis, as an event mentioned before, started to reopen the daycare centers last Sunday. Let me tell you, this is great. This is a moment of joy and optimism for all of us. We always have to remember that we are responsible for the safety of 14,000 babies and toddlers, 6,000 youth, and 5,100 staff members. As never before, WISO is faced with the challenge to supply its daycare centers and schools with sufficient quantities of PPE, such as masks, gels, wipes, gloves, and overalls. Unfortunately, the government is not committed to providing these essentials. It is up to each school and center to protect its own. I want to share a shiur that I attended this week by Rebbe Deborah Ben-Simon. And one of the topics was the importance of tzedakah. She told a story about a lady who went to her rabbi, and she was very upset because a needy person asked for $1 and she gave a quarter. And the person was keeping asking for $1. The rabbi asked her, "Did you have $1?" And she replied, "Yes, I always have in my purse a bag of quarters to give in these situations." To her surprise, the rabbi then told her something that really resonated with me. He told her, "Yes, tzedakah is giving what we want, but it is also about what other person needs. When giving tzedakah, we have to think about what the other person needs to live in a better world." Having said this, the need to supply 180 daycare centers, 6 youth villages, is $150,000 monthly for a minimum of 2 months. Our goal is to collect at least 10%, and that will be $30,000. And I know we can do it. We have to keep in mind that USA support 12 daycare centers and 2 youth villages. I know that this is a very difficult time for all of us, and we all feel the pressure and uncertainty, but please realize that all public fundraising in Florida will likely be impossible in the near future. And with the way things are in Israel, we need your support now more than ever. Now,
we, WISO women, will do everything we can to protect our children. Thousands of children and staff are returning to our daycare centers, schools, and youth villages. To keep them safe, we need to provide vast quantities of protective and sanitary material and equipment. The cost is enormous. The need is very, very urgent. Please help us by giving generously to our campaign, Protecting Our Children. Thank you.
thank you. Today, we are turning to all of you to help with, so in any way you can. I encourage everyone to help and give as much as you're able to. Get your community involved. Call your friends and tell them about our new campaign. Any donation is needed and appreciated. Israel needs all she can get. If we don't help, who will? And if not, when? To give your gift, please go to our webpage, wisofl.org/donate or Venmo @Lil Taba, so we can send funds to Israel as soon as possible. Thank you. And now, what we promised, I would like to introduce our next guest from Israel, Dr. Netanel Agahani and his wife, Dr. Neta Agahani. I want to tell you a little bit about this couple. Dr. Netanel served the FDA for 5 years as an infantry soldier. He studied medicine at the Hebrew University in Jerusalem. Currently, he is in his 4th year residency in pediatrics at the Asaf Harofeh Hospital. His wife, Dr. Neta Agahani, also studied at Hebrew University where they met, and for the past 7 years, she's been serving as a military doctor. They have 3 kids, aged 2, 4, and 5 years old, and they all attended Witso Kindergarten at Asaf Harofeh Hospital during this pandemic time. Dr. Netanel and Neta, welcome both, all of you, and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you. Maybe we'll just introduce ourselves in half a minute. And let me apologize. This will be the living proof of the importance of the daycare centers, where you'll see 3 kids running into the room once in a while. So I apologize in advance. Me and Neta met in the medical school. We're married for a few years now, and in the past 5 years, we've been using the amazing services of Witso's daycare centers in Asaf Harofeh Medical Center, which is a hospital located about 10 miles from Tel Aviv. I'm a pediatrician, and Neta is a military doctor. I can tell you in general a bit about the corona situation, but I'll let Neta do her part, which is much more important.
So I'm 33, and as you said, I'm a military doctor, and we have 3 kids, and since the first one was born, and we need to put her in a daily daycare, we want a supervised one, and then when we chose Witso Asaf Harofeh from convenience, and we were so pleased about it, and the proof is we sent all of our kids to this kindergarten. During routine, we are very pleased, but the corona especially made it even sharper.
And so I, as a resident in pediatrics, which is a female subject now, more or less, we have 4 men and 26 women in our specialty. A few of my colleagues share the same age groups with us, and during the corona time, when we were on an emergency type of schedule, meaning longer hours, naturally much more problematic situations regarding the both educational system in Israel, sorry for this, for the educational system in Israel, which was practically closed. Witso actually gave us, me and my colleagues, and I'm talking about 7 female doctors, myself, nurses, other senior staff, logistics. They gave us the possibility of coming and working during this very difficult time by providing a place where we can put our kids, where we feel secure, both medically, both socially, educationally, receiving the right. And this was an amazing, because this gave us the clarity and the ease of being able to focus on treating patients when knowing that our kids are very well being taken care of. Sorry, Neta's joining us now after yes, hiding the kids. So this was a very substantial help for the co-workers in Asaf Harofeh, and Neta can give her aspect regarding the possibility as a military doctor to work at this time.
All of this time, I guess, for all the world, but for us also was full of uncertainty. And at least in this part of our smaller kids, we were very certain they are in good hands. The environment was different. We brought them only for a class of only 8 kids. We left them in at the opening of at the outer gate of the kindergarten, and they were all of the teachers were with masks, and they washed a lot of hands, and they already explained to us how they wash, and
they were able to make this as a game in order to remove the natural anxiety kids will receive from seeing all these masked people all around. They were able to negotiate it in a very well as a game and giving it a very fun nature as opposed to like a very scary thing which could happen. This again gave us the peace of mind of being able to work and treat thanks to this amazing daycare center. And may I add that this is one of the, if not the only, places in Israel which gave the possibility of taking care of toddlers up to 3 years of age at a hospital. My colleagues from various hospitals, be it the biggest hospitals in Israel, didn't receive this amazing service. And they lost days at work and treated not as well, and were much more distracted. And I think this is one of the amazing features Ritzo was able to give us. I think that's about it.
Thank you very much. I have a few questions for you. What do you think of the reopening of daycare centers? People are looking forward to going back to work, but what are the course of action that are being taken in order to control the influx of the virus?
So basically now, in Israel, there are a few approaches in various different age groups. In the slightly older kids, preschool kids, what they did is they opened the daycare centers in a matter of 50% going on Sunday to Tuesdays, and the rest of the group coming from Wednesday to Friday. This naturally is very problematic because many workplaces will not be able to receive a person who will only come to work in 3 days a week. And what Ritzo did was very surgically, very thoughtfully chose the people who, first of all, were supposed to go back to work, who had more socio-economical issues. In our case, who were the so-called essential workers, and chose the half to come each day while doing a very small rotation in order to provide as many people the possibility to go and work. So this is the two different methods in Israel in which they would go back. Medically, we can say that, at least according to now, we don't see the second wave people were very afraid of, even though the daycare centers are open for about a week now. And this might mean that this is a good way of gradually returning to the norm in Israel.
Okay, thank you. I have another question. Among the 15,000 COVID cases in Israel, how many were children, more or less?
No, this is a good question. I'll tell you one of the amazing things. A German study that was performed naturally in Germany took 1,000 kids and took serological examinations to see if the body has antibodies, meaning was it exposed to the coronavirus. 16%, which is a huge amount, had antibodies, meaning that kids who were asymptomatic actually had the disease. So we presume that at least part of the kids go home or to various places and are sick without even knowing it. So we had a few dozens or several hundreds of cases which are documented, but we presume there are much more cases which are the community. This gives the big like a very scary possibility of them being like super infectants by being healthy and yet still being able to affect the people. This is why the importance of all the precautions is so important here.
Thank you. One more question. How many children and staff are in the specific center where your children attend?
Excuse me, can you come back?
Excuse me?
Come back about the question.
How many children and staff are in the center where your children attend?
Every group has eight kids. There are 3 groups, and
this is like the corona, the
corona,
COVID,
yes.
the COVID setting. Usually we have 30 kids in 3 different groups. Each group will consist of 30
now
kids.
They started to make it 17 kids in every group, like the routine after the corona. In the daily routine, about 24 to 30.
In each case.
Thank you. And the last question. Can you explain the apparent relationship between the Kawasaki illness and the coronavirus?
This is a very difficult question to answer because, first of all, it's very technical. So let me put it in the down-to-earth layman terms. Kawasaki is a very tricky, dangerous disease. This is like the thing we're most afraid of in kids. We now see that Kawasaki, which is like a sort of an immune disease, an immune syndrome, has a similar manifestation which has a relationship with the COVID-19. This means you have cardiac manifestations, you have all sorts of rashes and lymph node enlargements. It's a very scary picture if you ever saw a kid like this. We do know that the COVID-19 has the ability to cause a very similar syndrome. That's why we're very afraid that even if we're talking about 1% of the kids who will have the COVID-19 will have these manifestations, if the entire country will be affected, which was like the big scary option, thousands will be affected and might even lose their lives. This is the importance of all the precautions which we both see in the entire country of Israel, and especially in Witzel Daycare Center, which are very, very minded. I don't know if it's because we live in a society which is like very medical in specific daycare center, but the amazing precautions they take are so important and help prevent this spreading of the disease.
Thank you. I promise the last question. As a pediatrician, what will be the advice that you will give to your kids?
So, like when we, sorry for the, like when we examine kids and like when we do everything, the best thing is as a game to say the rules of the game. So this game is we don't hug, we only blow kisses. We play with our friends, but we don't give them high fives and things like that. These are the new rules. And hopefully we'll be able to go back to the new rules once everything is okay. We won't have to wash our hands so much and wear masks, but this is the new game. And you have to win the game. So this is how we make it like more playful for the kids and make the experience not as frightening as it could be.
That's a great advice. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Dr. Netanel Agahani and Dr. Netta Agahani for your time and knowledge. We had a great learning today.
Please let me.
Excuse me?
Let me say one more sentence. The reason we came here is because we feel an amazing amount of gratitude for the invaluable services we received from Witzel for the past 5 years. And we know that we work better, we have a better family life thanks to your amazing daycare center. So thank you very, very much.
I'm very happy to hear that. Thank you so much. Please don't forget to make your donation for Witzel's campaign, Protecting Our Children. Israel needs us, the youth from the diaspora. In these difficult times, more than ever, we have to support our people. If we don't help, who will? If not now, when? Please make your donations at wizzofl.org/donate or Venmo at Lil Taba. Thank you very much. Now, to give us the closing remarks, here is Lilian Tabasinik, Witzel Florida chairperson.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Netanel and Netta Agahani and Ora Razim. Thank you for being here. You guys have painted a great picture of what the troops on the ground are doing and showing us how it's really done in Israel. And we here in the USA are going to be taking lessons from you. As you saw Yvette at the beginning, and those of you who missed it, I'm sorry that you did, but she was in mask and gloves and hand sanitizers and temperatures. And she was dressed to save lives. And Witzel saves lives. And you all saved lives through Witzel. And as Yvette said, it's our mission to protect the children. And it's urgent that we help these educators and the school workers, the staff, bring Israel's economy back to the old normal. You've all virtually attended our May event. Not really the Mother's Day sponsored child bazaar and luncheon that we usually have, but this is what we have right now. And we ask you today to donate like you would have during a Mother's Day event. You know, we may have restricted our movements, but we have not restricted our hearts. And you have always been the backbone of WITSO. And WITSO is the lifeline of the women, children, and elderly in Israel. And we thank you all, but we need you now more than ever. And please help us reach our goal to purchase all this personal protective equipment for the staff to be able to reopen all the daycare centers in the schools. And thank you all for coming today. You're all unmuted now. Everyone is unmuted in case you spoke. Bye.
We go home now? Are we done?
Listen, what I got you
Are we done?
put
Done?
the
Is it done?
let's talk at 2 o'clock.
Thank you so much.
I want to look at the talking points. So Allison, we already start getting enough donations to just send in money for the match.
Okay, so that's really
all this and like young alumni.
It's
I made last night, but he didn't need it because
To me, it's really awesome.
it's amazing. I've already updated it already. I saw them coming. It's wonderful.
Thank you all for coming.
Coming on Facebook.
Thank you.
Bless you, you wonderful ladies. Love you.
Susan, Lillian, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Just
Sorry.
to say, yeah, an incredible activity you organized. It was so informative and very touching. The presentation of the doctors was absolutely fantastic. They didn't overspeak. They just said plainly how much it means to them what WITSO does with our children. I don't know. I think it was fantastic. I wanted to congratulate you and Anita and Beth. It was a great activity.
It was very important to share all this information because we keep getting all this information from Israel, and we send it out by email, but I don't think anybody really either pays attention or reads it. I think this was much more visual and auditory for people to be able to hear what was happening, and very important for people to know.
We don't have Penny in our database, like he doesn't like.
Okay.
You concerning this, what are the time limitations?
I don't know who's unmuted themselves.
Let's say we go through the due diligence.
I think we got kind of somebody piped in. Anyway, I thought it was really good. I thought the appeal was really good.
Yeah.
I thought it was clear that we were trying to raise money and we weren't ashamed of it, which I'm really pleased about. I thought Yvette and Anita did amazing. I thought Aura and the doctor also were good. Yeah, a few people are still on. I don't know whether they walked away and don't realize it's over. Just let me know if you want me to just end the meeting. I'll just end it.
I just wanted to say, Susan, can you hear me?
I can, Miss Judith.
Okay, to you and Lillian, I wanted to say, you know, in Facebook, when they do the happy birthday thing, that they have a very bright background and thick letters to say happy birthday to somebody. You know what I'm talking about?
Uh-huh.
I think that the data that we got today should be emphasized like that, like facts and figures, because like Lillian very well says, you know, when they send us the email, I don't know how many of our people actually read it or have the patience to read it. You know, like we have in the website, the number of members and everything else. I think that there should be something indicating exactly the current situation in Israel and just talk about how many, just the numbers, how many centers are open, what we are doing for the,
the birthday thing is a graphic that we've done that's automatically generated by Google. We don't send it. So,
I've written my own.
I know, but I'm not quite, maybe we'll talk after because I'm not quite sure what you're asking.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm not asking, it was a suggestion, but it's okay. We'll talk about it later.
Okay. All right. So
Okay, thank you. Well, let me just say thank you to, Yvette and Anita. I just wanted to tell them thank you for
we'll have to
having.
tell them separately. They're already gone.
Okay.
All right. Well,
Okay,
that's
guys.
amazing. Thank you, Lillian. I
Lillian,
think that we ought to think about.
Lillian, I just want you to know, I just share in our chats the picture of your screenshot of the donate for the campaign. Okay?
Thank you. Wonderful.
It was a great as always. We Zoom and
I do have to tell you that we started with about 54 participants and we ended with about 54. Nobody
Yeah.
left.
Yeah, I got a few complaints, but I will not share those.
Okay. All right, bye ladies. I'm ending the meeting.
Very nice seeing you guys.